I said it was going to be a busy week and the shows haven't even started, but we have a lot to talk about, so let's just get into it. So first thing we're going to go over may be somewhat of a spoiler if it does come true. So if you don't want to hear anything about any of the upcoming showcases, make sure to skip to the next section of this video. So one of the big announcements with the launch of the new PlayStation Plus service was that there were going to be timed game trials or game demos to allow people to try out different games that took advantage of that service and entered into the game trials availability that PlayStation was offering. And it looks like Xbox is going to follow along these lines. This comes via Tom Henderson and xputer.com. And they say here, sources have said that Microsoft will be announcing several big announcements before Summer Games Fest on June 9th. One of the bigger announcements is that Microsoft will be launching a new service seemingly to compete against PlayStation Plus's time-limited game trials that were announced earlier this year. Now, specifically, they say the feature is going to be coming to Xbox Game Pass members within the next year and will begin to focus on helping independent game developers across the globe. And the developers that actually choose to take advantage of this program will get the necessary data needed for game development and will reportedly be compensated by Microsoft in order to put their games into this game trial program. Now, you think game trials, game demos coming to Xbox Game Pass members is kind of a pointless thing because we have Xbox Game Pass and we have so many games in there. All of the first-party Xbox games are coming in there, so why would you need to try out one of these games? You could just sign up for Xbox Game Pass, but particularly when it comes to indie developers, this may be something for those developers that don't want to put their games into Xbox Game Pass, but still want people to try out their games. And then if they enjoy them, go ahead and buy them on the Xbox store. So this could be a very beneficial thing for independent developers that have a tough time getting their games out there to the masses, to get people to know about their games. One of the best things overall about Xbox Game Pass is that feature alone, where you get to try out and play a bunch of these indie games that you probably would have never tried or known about if it wasn't for the service. And this is just another step in that direction to continue to promote indie developers. I love indie games. I've been playing so many of them on Xbox Game Pass, so the more support that they can get, I think the better indie games we will continue to get. They have some of the most creative music, graphics, gameplay, characters, all that type of stuff within indie games. So happy to see that they are doing this and focusing on the independent developers. On top of that, there's some more information here that it seems like Microsoft will be announcing an extension to their Samsung partnership, stuff that we've heard about, which will allow people to stream Xbox games directly to their Samsung smart TVs without another connection or a console or anything that gives them access to cloud gaming. So we knew this was coming. We knew this was a partnership that Xbox had entered into with Samsung, and I'm not surprised to hear this. I was guessing they were going to announce this at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, but they say here that these announcements will be made several hours prior to Summer Games Fest on June 9th. So this is just the beginning. These are the smaller announcements that Xbox is doing, meaning that there will be much bigger announcements, particularly focusing on games when it comes to the actual Xbox and Bethesda showcase, and probably some other announcements that we have no idea about coming at the Summer Games Fest show on June 9th. So the Xbox and Bethesda showcase just around the corner. I think one of the most obvious things Xbox could do to really knock it out of the park with this show is to announce something with Banjo and Kazooie, and just a brand new game, a remake, something to revitalize this series, an IP that's just been sitting dormant within Xbox for tons of years now. They have Rare, they have everything in there. They have a developer that's going to be entering Xbox like Toys for Bob, who have done incredible remakes and probably would just do an amazing thing with Banjo-Kazooie. And we have been seeing some speculation now, may mean nothing, but it has to do with Phil Spencer, who has been playing Banjo-Kazooie for the Xbox 360. This has people thinking that this may be pointing towards something for an announcement at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. So specifically, it says Spencer first booted up Banjo-Kazooie for Xbox 360 on June 1st. As noted by the activity tracker websites, he played for around 37 minutes and earned exactly one achievement, Get Jiggy, for gathering 2 of the platformers puzzle piece collectibles. No progress has been made since then. Spencer instead spent time with Eiyuden Chronicles Rising, which by the way is a great game, Ninja Gaiden Sigma, and Elden Ring over the last few days, but that hasn't stopped folks from speculating. And yes, this could mean absolutely nothing. Maybe he just wanted to jump in, grab an achievement, see how it was running via the backwards compatibility with Xbox 360 and just test it out. But we've seen Phil Spencer in the stuff that he has kind of hinted at with his shelf. We had the Xbox Series S before that thing got announced, just sitting there on his shelf. We've seen the rumors about Kojima and him having the Luden statue in the background. So all of this stuff brings people to speculate whether this is signifying something for the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. And I really hope it is. I think this would be an announcement that would just have everyone hyped up, have everyone excited to play it. It would be a great addition to the Xbox portfolio. Get that signature platformer for the Xbox Game Studios lineup. I mean, we know we have Crash coming as well, which is going to be a signature platformer, but imagine Banjo-Kazooie and Crash having both of them there. You'll get the appeal to those both different styles of platformers, one that's more linear, and then you have the one that can be more open world and exploration styles. So I hope it happens. It could be nothing, but I'm having my fingers crossed that this is going to be one of the big announcements we get in just a couple of days. So last year at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, we heard about this game Contraband, and it was the first time we had heard about it. It's coming from Avalanche, and apparently it is a co-op open world style heist game, similar to kind of what you do in Sea of Thieves. That's only the kind of breakdown that we have so far of this game. We haven't seen anything else from it. A lot of people are expecting it to show up at this year's showcase, and now we just got this, and it is a patent that was filed on June 2nd for Contraband by Microsoft. And it says here, Contraband Trademark registration is intended to cover the categories of game software, computer game software, downloadable computer programs, namely game software for use on computers, video game players, and electronic and wireless devices. Now, this means that Contraband, the IP, is going to be owned by Microsoft, and I guess they have just contracted out Avalanche to go ahead and develop this game. This isn't something that is going to seemingly be just a timed exclusive on Xbox and come onto Xbox Game Pass. I'm guessing because now that they own the trademark, they own the IP, they're going to be able to continue with this game going forward. And if it's like Sea of Thieves, it's going to be just another huge live service game that will be in Xbox's repertoire. Now, in terms of the gameplay for this game, it may be closer than we think. We may see a lot of this at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. It may be one of those highlights where we heard about it last year. They've done a lot of development, and now we're seeing exactly what this game is going to be all about. I'm excited for this just because I like Avalanche's work, particularly on Rage 2. I found that the gameplay in that game is so much fun. I loved the gunplay of it and all that type of stuff. So seeing what they're going to be able to do with a game like this, which is going to be co-op, which is going to have you running around, from the sounds of it, just doing crazy things, taking on heists, and having just a lot of fun with your friends, could be one to definitely look forward to. Okay, jumping over here to finally some more news on the upcoming Kojima game that we've had no news on, besides it sounded like he's probably working on 2 games, one of them being an Xbox exclusive game using the Azure technology, the cloud-based technology, and all that type of stuff. But we finally got a bit of more information here, and it seems like his new horror game is dubbed Overdose. Now, again, this comes via Tom Henderson, and he says here that early footage has been sent out to him under the request of anonymity, and it seems to show Mama from Death Stranding wearing a blue dress. But the game, however, does not appear to be Death Stranding 2 and just features Margaret Qualley from Death Stranding. Now, I played some of Death Stranding, like 10 hours, so I really didn't get into the game, so I'm not that familiar with the entire lore of everything. But it says here, footage shows the character walking through dark corridors with a flashlight in third person, but it's been suggested that the game can be played in first person too. A jump scare at the end of the footage shows game over, followed by Hideo Kojima game Overdose. Now, again, this is something that Jeff Grubb has talked about, and there's been rumors going around the industry that Kojima is working on multiple games, Death Stranding 2, working on the game for Xbox. We don't know what it is. This may be it. If this is true, if this isn't something that is just put out there, that it doesn't actually turn into a game, this may be the game that Kojima is working on for Xbox. And maybe this was a trailer that is going to be upcoming at one of these showcases that got leaked to him, to Tom Henderson, and this is what we're going to see either Summer Games Fest or at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. This is one that's been very interesting. I really want to know more about it. I'm not a fan of Death Stranding. I am a fan of the Metal Gear series, but I would love to see just if this rumor does actually end up being true and what Kojima is going to be able to do using the cloud technology that Xbox provides to him. And if he were to actually just make an exclusive title for the Xbox ecosystem, I think that would be a huge kind of 180 for Kojima, when most of his stuff, most of his deals have been with PlayStation. And going over to Xbox, it would show the allure of the technology that Xbox has that isn't as prominent, isn't as available on other platforms. All right, let's quickly talk about sales and the UK monthly chart. So we got the updates here for the sales of games and consoles and all that type of stuff in the UK for May, as well as where these consoles sit currently right now in 2022. Now, May overall was definitely a down month in terms of actual game sales in the UK, saying here over 1.6 million games, 100,000 game consoles, and 460,000 accessories were sold in the UK in May. But there was no real major game release in May, so this had a huge effect on the actual sales of the overall games, as they were down 22% over last year, which was a month last year in May that had Resident Evil Village, hugely popular game, one of the best games released last year. So that makes a big difference because it's multi-platform, it's going to sell everywhere. Now, in terms of April, game sales are actually down 32%, and April's biggest game in 2022 was Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Great game, I've been playing through it, and it was still #1 in May, even though it fell 87% in terms of sales month over month. Now, the highest charting new game for May 2022 is Sniper Elite 5, down at number 12. Now, this is only counting physical sales of Sniper Elite 5. We have no idea what the digital sales were. We know this game released on Xbox Game Pass, but overall still sold many copies across other platforms. There's a high percentage of them that sold on PlayStation as well in terms of the actual physical sales, which makes a ton of sense. So we don't know exactly how well this game did digitally and physical combined, but Sniper Elite 5 is still in the top charts for May. Now, when it comes to the console sales, the PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox Series X and S. Overall console sales this year are down 38.3%. A lot of this has to do with the lack of stock, the lack of ability to get a PS5 and an Xbox Series X still. But when it comes to the overall sales in 2022, the Xbox Series X has been outselling the PlayStation 5. You can say this is because of stock. Definitely one of the reasons. The Xbox Series S was a great strategy, and we are seeing that pay off. But at the same time, as I say every time I talk about these sales, you can't just say it's only because of the stock that the Xbox is selling so well. It's also because it's a very desirable product and people want it in their hands. But there is a stat here that I find extremely interesting, and it is that during May in the UK, the PlayStation 5 got more stock out there. And with that more stock, their sales went up 10% over April. Now, with the Xbox Series X and S, it also had a slower April, but in May, it was also up. It was up 58% month over month, and that is also because they had more Series X in stock, which is a huge uptick with the Xboxes from month over month, a much bigger uptick from the 10% that the PlayStation 5 got, which is really showing that with either of these consoles, and even with the Xbox Series X and S, you put more of those in stores, they are going to sell out right away. So I really don't see this trend slowing down anytime soon, where the PlayStation 5 is outselling or greatly outselling the Xbox Series X and S. I think by the end of this year, by the end of this generation, the Series X and S and the PlayStation 5s are going to be so close in terms of console sales, which really highlights the better strategy that Xbox has with opening up their entire ecosystem, because they're going to have incredible console sales and they're going to have people accessing Xbox via different screens, multiple different avenues, PC, console, through streaming sticks, through your TV apps, as we're seeing with the Samsung partnership that seemingly is going to be announced. So very interesting stuff here with sales, and we'll see how this continues to play out through 2022. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on those potential Xbox announcements. Do you think we will see a new Banjo-Kazooie game at the Xbox and Bethesda showcase? What are your thoughts on the sales, the new Kojima game that is seemingly coming, and Contraband? Do you think that's going to be shown off at the show this week? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
Bye.